Hello learners, I am Siba. Today we can move to lesson 17, Rights and Responsibilities of Consumers. In this lesson, we can study the terms consumer and consumerism. We can study the rights of a consumer and responsibilities of consumers. We often come across many people who complained of having been supplied with inferior or adulterated goods, for which they have paid full price. Some people are seen complaining that they have paid full fare, but the seats of the bus and train were very uncomfortable. So many a times, people do not get the full worth of their money. They have the right to get the full value of their money spent for the goods and services they want to avail of. Sometimes people themselves are responsible for the inappropriate goods and services that are provided to them. Many a times they do not know full details of the products or services they are interested in. Sometimes they take the delivery of goods or avail their services without caring for their quality. It is not the responsibility of the seller to give full details of the goods and services required by the consumer. So, in this lesson, let us study the details about the rights and responsibilities of consumers. Who is a consumer? Consumer is a person who buys goods or services to be used or consumed by himself or by someone else on behalf of the buyer. Consumer is a person who buys goods or services to be used, or sometimes he will buy goods which will be consumed by someone else on behalf of the buyer. For example, father will buy dress materials for the children. So he is buying goods for the children. So it is consumed by the children. Goods may include consumable items or durable consumer goods. Consumer is anybody who chooses goods and services, spends money to obtain them, and uses them to satisfy his or her needs. What do you mean by consumerism? Consumerism refers to a movement by consumers to ensure fair and honest practices on the part of manufacturers or traders or dealers or service providers in relation to consumers. The movement is an attempt by individual consumer activists and consumer associations for creating consumer awareness about the malpractices in the market. This movement finds ways and means to protect the interest of consumers. So, here it is so important to study the Consumer Protection Act 1986. What is the peculiarity of this act? It provides consumer protection. Through this act, consumers can seek legal remedy for a wide range of unfair practices with respect to goods and for services. If there is any deficiency, they can get legal remedy. This act also includes provision for the establishment of consumer protection councils at the center and at this state. For the settlement of consumer disputes, the Act has provided for a semi-judicial system. Semi-judicial system in the Consumer Protection Act includes District Forum, State Commission and National Commission. These can be otherwise called as consumer courts. Now let us discuss the rights of consumers. To safeguard the interest of consumers, government has recognized certain rights to consumers. These rights protect themselves from being exploited or cheated. Rights of consumers include right to safety, right to be informed, right to choose, right to be heard, right to seek redressal, and right to consumer education. Now let us discuss it one by one. Right to safety. Consumers have a right to be protected against marketing of goods which are injurious to health and life. If consumers are conscious of this right, they can take precautions to prevent the injury. For example, if gas cylinder is used for cooking, then you have to check it whether it is in a leaking condition or not at the time when it is supplied to you. If it starts leaking afterwards, the supplier will be liable to pay compensation if the leakage leads to fire. Next right to be informed. Consumers have the right to be informed about the quantity, quality, purity, standard or grade and price of the goods available, so that consumers can make proper choice before buying any product or service. Next right is the right to choose. Every consumer has the right to choose the goods needed from a variety of similar goods. Nowadays, we can see a wide choice of a product in every retail outlet. Consumers have the right to choose any brand that they like. We can see various products, and with the help of salesman, consumer has the right to choose any product. He will not be forced to take any product as per the wish of the salesperson. So that is the right to choose. Next is the right to be heard. This right means that consumers have a right to be consulted by government and public bodies when decisions are made affecting consumer interest, or when government is taking any policy and that is affecting any consumer interest, consumers are to be consulted. Similarly, consumers have a right to be heard by manufacturers about their opinion on production. Consumers have right to be heard by the advertisers or dealers about marketing decisions that is to be taken by the producers. Consumers have the right to be heard in legal proceedings in law courts dealing with consumer complaints. Next is the right to seek redressal. If any consumer has a complaint or grievance due to unfair trade practices like higher price, selling of inferior goods, lack of regularity in supply, then he has the right to seek remedies. He has a right to get the defective goods replaced. or he has the right to get money refunded by the seller. The goods are to be replaced by the seller or dealer. Money should be compensated by the seller or dealer. Consumer has the right to seek legal remedies in the appropriate courts of law. This right also provides for due compensation to the consumers if they have suffered a loss or are a part to inconvenience due to the fault of the supplier or manufacturer. Next is consumer education. Right to consumer education. Consumer awareness and education are essentially required to prevent market malpractices and exploitation of consumers. Educational institutions and government policy makers are expected to enable consumers to be informed and educated. Now, let us study the responsibilities of the consumers. Consumers are having certain responsibility like responsibility of self-help. Proof of transactions are to be kept by the consumers. Then proper claim is to be made by the consumers. Proper use of product or service. First is the responsibility of self-help. It is desirable that a consumer should not depend on the seller for information and choice as far as possible. Consumers are expected to act in a responsible manner to protect themselves from being deceived. Any informed consumer can take care of his interest more than anyone else. Definitely, if you are aware of the price of the product, about the availability of the product, about the quantity to be purchased, then you will be taking care of yourself before buying that product. Next responsibility is the proof of transaction. Every consumer has to keep the proof of purchase and documents relating to purchase of goods, especially durable goods. And these documents are to be collected and preserved by the consumer. For example, it is important to get a cash memo on purchase of goods. Durable consumer goods like TV, refrigerator, etc. carry warranty cards or guarantee cards issued by the dealers. These cards enable the customers to get the service for repairs and sometimes replacement of certain parts free of cost during a certain period after purchase. So, if a consumer is keeping those warranty cards, then it will help the consumer if there is any damage to that particular durable product. Next responsibility, proper claim. While making complaints and claiming compensation for loss, consumers should not make unreasonably higher claims. Next responsibility is the proper use of product or service. Some consumers during the guarantee period make rough use of the product thinking that it will be replaced during the guarantee period. Consumers should always use the products properly. They should stick to the agreement made with manufacturers or traders or service providers. Consumers should make timely payment in case of credit purchases. So, this is also a responsibility of the consumer. Now, in this lesson, I hope you understood the terms consumer and consumerism, rights and responsibilities of consumers. Thank you.